So what did you think about Star Wars? You thought it was funny? Anything else? What did you think of the Star Wars, huh? You're completely flabbergasted by everything. What did you think about Kylo Ren? He's the bad guy. What did you think about the bad guy? Yeah? You weren't amused by him at all? That's amazing. I don't get it. What about Han Solo? You thought Han Solo was funny? Oh, that's good. What about Poe? Do you like Poe? You whatever on Poe? Oh, you would rather him play music than fly? Oh, that's good. There you have it. Straight from the baby's mouth. Star Wars review. So the other day I went and saw the movie The Force Awakens, and I thought it'd be a good topic to put on video. What are my thoughts on it? I mean, it has really, really good parts to it, and then there's other ones that pretty much leave everybody scratching their heads, and I don't know if that was their intention, but it certainly worked. So let's just start from the top. There's this scene right off the bat where they finally found the map to where Luke Skywalker is. He's gone missing pretty much since the end of the last episode. Stuff happened, he's gone, now everybody's trying to find him so that he can come back and save the world. Whatever. So this character, which we don't really have a name for, has found the map, and he is giving it to Poe, one of the leaders of the Resistance. He is one of their prize flyers, and he says you need to take this back to General Leia and bring it back to the Rebellion. This is a way to find Luke. Very cool, much like how Leia, was trying to protect the map of the Death Star in the fourth one. We get it, we understand it, you're making an ordered montage to it, kind of cool. Then all of a sudden, the First Order, which is basically, this series' Empire, is coming and attacking them to try and get the map back. So as Poe tries to run away inside of his fighter, somebody blasts it and they destroy it. It's not able to work anymore. So he goes to his droid, which is now BB-8, which is basically this movie's R2-D2, and then puts the plans inside the the BB, and tells the BB to go as far away as you possibly can, keep the map hidden. Basically what they did with R2-D2. They shot him out of a cannon and they put him on the Tatooine. Makes a whole lot of sense. Again, same like the fourth episode. We get it. The cool part about this scene is when Poe tries to blast Kylo Ren, and as he's pulling the trigger, it's coming out, the phaser, the laser's coming out, and Poe just puts his hand out and force freezes the beam. The coolest move, I think, out of the entire movie. It was pretty cool what he did. Just left it there and just ignored it for like a whole 5 minutes throughout the entire scene. One thing that I didn't like was they bring Poe, they capture Poe, and they bring him face to face with Kylo Ren, and they bring this dark music, and it's supposed to be this epic stare down between two great foes, and then they ruin it by Poe making a joke. They're staring at each other, and then all of a sudden Poe just goes, "Should you be talking? I don't know if I should be talking. I think it's you that should be talking." Shut up! There's no reason for that at all. It doesn't really make a whole ton of sense for you to just be doing that. All he needed to do was have this epic stare down, and then Kylo saying, "Take him away." That would have been it, and that would have been a badass ending to your first scene. That's all I ever needed to be. But then at the end of the scene, they ask Kylo, "What are we going to do with the rest of the villagers that we have?" Kylo says, "Kill them all." And then there's this epic stare down between him and one of his stormtroopers. The stormtrooper doesn't want to do it, and he doesn't kill anybody. He just ignores them. And that is where we're pretty much introduced to Finn. He's a stormtrooper. He was taken apparently from birth or whatever from his family that he doesn't know anything about, and he was bred to be a killing machine for the First Order. So basically, Finn has become this morally conflicted person. It's just who he is. And Finn now doesn't want to be a part of the First Order. So what does he do? He goes over, he kidnaps, well, I guess he releases Poe, and he gets him out of there. Well, as he's getting him out of there, the First Order realizes it. They shoot down the plane that got him out. The plane crashes, and then all of a sudden Finn wakes up, goes over to the plane. The plane just starts sinking in the sand for some ungodly reason. I don't know why. Maybe it was just a random sinkhole or whatever, but it just sinks into oblivion, and he thinks that Poe's in there, and he thinks that Poe's dead. Can't get to him. All of a sudden, no more ship. It's just gone. So this is about where we're introduced to Rey. She is the heroine of the episode, and she's this tough girl, this loner who's, she basically lives inside of a ship because she doesn't have a home, and she's taking spare parts from these fallen Star Destroyers, and she's trading those in for food. That's how she lives. She just collects things, and she's waiting for her family to come back to her. So as she's walking by, she sees these two creatures, whatever they are. They're circling. They have BB-8 in this net, and she runs. She scares them off, and then reluctantly takes BB-8 with her because BB-8 just wants to be around her, and she wants nothing to do with it. And she pretty much just takes him. So then we fast forward to when Finn meets Rey. And the one thing that I don't like about Rey is that, yeah, she's a heroine, she's a tough girl, but she doesn't need to be that tough. She doesn't. She's tough all on her own. You know what she can do. You know that she can handle herself because she's done it for years. We get that. But when Finn and Rey are getting attacked by stormtroopers and he grabs her hand, you don't need her to be like, get your hand off me. There's no reason for that. Because in reality, if somebody wants to grab your hand and you're running away from danger, you're not saying anything. And if you do, the guy who's holding your hand is like, fine, I'll just outrun you and you're just gonna get blasted to death. That's fine. You don't need her to be that tough. Let her hold his hand, whatever, and run off. We get it. She's tough. End of story. Doesn't need to be that complicated. And then, as they're running, they find this crazy abandoned, destroyed ship, apparently. It's a hunk of junk. Lo and behold, it's the Millennium Falcon. Completely abandoned. The guy who's trading in parts for food, apparently somehow he got the Millennium Falcon. There's no real story to that. There's a little bit of one in there, but there's really not a lot of details. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, she steals the Millennium Falcon. Somehow she knows how to fly it. I have no idea how she could possibly know how to fly it. Somehow she's this magic person. But she escapes the First Order with Finn and BB-8, and they just go. And then somehow the Millennium Falcon gets stuck in this tractor beam and gets captured, and they think it's the First Order, but in reality, it's Han Solo. And this is where we're introduced to him and Chewbacca, and this is where that famous line in the trailer, Chewie, we're home, begins. And of course, in classic Han style, he's back to being a smuggler, as he always was. You don't exactly know what happens yet, but he's a smuggler, and he is in classic Han Solo form, in trouble again because he's made a deal with two different people to do the same thing, basically. And the two people band together to go after Han. Crazy sequence, crazy scenario. Not really necessarily that needed. What was needed was this great talk that Rey and Finn have with Han about the Force. And it made it even better when he was talking about it. That needed to happen. When he's talking about how he never used to believe in the Force, he just thought it was all hooey and all mumbo jumbo. And then after all that time, he finally realized that it was real. It was this great, all-powerful thing, and that he now believes in it, and he has faith in it. That's a powerful thing. It was a great sequence that they had. That needed to happen. So in the midst of the whole Han Solo thing, right after that we go to Kylo and his planet, the Destroyer, whatever you want to call it. And he is in council with his master, Snoke. And you first look at this and he's like this 20-foot tall hologram structure, which is really weird because you know that at the end of it, when you see him, he's gonna be like 3'6". He's not gonna be that intimidating. The only thing that would really make him like intimidating is if you realize that he was like Darth Plagueis. He didn't die apparently. That would be the coolest damn thing in the world. That's what it should be. I don't know if that's what it's gonna be, because if he just ends up being just this random dude, it's gonna be really, really bad. People are gonna be really pissed off. So there better be some importance to him, because right now you don't really know much about him. Much like you really didn't know much about the Emperor in the fourth one. He was just kind of there. So I guess it kind of makes sense. I'll have faith in him for that one. But this is where Snoke kind of releases to the entire audience that Kylo Ren is actually Han Solo and Leia's son, which isn't that big of a surprise. You knew he had some form of connection to Darth Vader when it came to the trailer because he had this great love and affinity for Vader, which to me doesn't make any sense, because if he's related, if he's the son of Han and Leia, you would have thought they would have told him that Vader actually turned back to the good side. So if you really like Vader, wouldn't you think that he would want to be a good guy because he realized the error of his ways? But that's just a side note. That's just me talking crap. Anyway, so we realized this new Death Star is like a planet now somehow, and it uses the power of the sun. It's weird. And they decide to fire it off to test it, and they ended up blowing up 4 planets, I guess, to show the magnitude of the situation. Basically, it's just another Death Star, and they have to go and destroy it. We all understand that. But to jump back to Han and Finn and Rey, they go to this other planet where there's a bar, again, much like Episode 4, again, another homage to it, where they meet up with this tiny little orange person who's kind of knowing and wise. She was actually kind of cool. She kind of made a couple of jokes, and they're talking about how we got to get BB-8 and the plans back to General Organa, and Han doesn't want to go see her because he doesn't think that Leia wants to see her or see him. And then Finn all of a sudden goes, "You can't destroy the First Order. Doesn't matter. We just need to get out of here as fast and as far as possible." So then all of a sudden he walks away to these people who try to take him away, to get him as far away as possible. There's this cute little scene between Finn and Rey about how Finn wants to take her with him, and Rey's not done with this fight. He needs to be a part of this. Really stupid. Not really the most necessary thing in the world. We get it, but it's not really necessary. And this is kind of where he blows, everything up, where he's like, "I'm not actually a part of the rebellion. I was actually a stormtrooper at the time." And she doesn't really care that much about it. She's just like, "Come fight with us," and he won't do it. Again, kind of like the Han Solo type thing where he really didn't want to fight in the first one, but ends up doing it anyway. Anyway, she runs away after the argument, and she finds this box, and somehow this box is like whispering to her, so she goes over to it. Why it's whispering, I don't know. But she goes over to it, she opens up the box, and there's Luke's lightsaber. No idea how it gets there, but there it is. And of course, like any curious person, she grabs it. And then all of a sudden, as she grabs it, these wave of visions are popping through her head. Whether it be Luke or Kylo or Finn or whatever, she's somehow seeing the future. I'm not entirely sure how this is working, but she sees the future. And as she lets go of it, little orange lady comes over and says, "The lightsaber calls to you." And I'm thinking, really? It calls to you? You mean kind of like the wand chooses the wizard, the lightsaber chooses the Jedi? I mean, are we really going Harry Potter on this? It just seemed a little bit too corny and too cheesy for me. It's kind of setting up for a big reveal about who Rey really is. Kind of like how Luke was, Vader's son. We're thinking that she has some form of connection to somebody, but it was just all sorts of weird. So the orange girl, she holds out the lightsaber to Rey and says, "You need this," and Rey says, "I don't want any part of that. I'm never gonna touch that thing ever again," and runs away. Just goes. For whatever reason. Who knows where she's going? I don't even know if she knows. She just runs away into the forest. She just wants to get away from everyone and everything. And then all of a sudden as she's running into the forest, she looks up and the First Order is there. They're going to attack. She starts to kind of run back because she wants to help them. And then Finn sees this, looks up to the First Order, runs back to see if he can find Rey. All of a sudden, he gets the lightsaber. The orange lady gives him the lightsaber, says, "You guys got to get out of here, get the BB-8 to the rebellion, to Leia, whatever." So this massive battle ensues, and in the middle of it, you catch back to the forest where Rey's trying to run back, and Kylo Ren stops her, freezes her, brings her over, looks into her eyes and says, "You found the map," and then just takes her away, kidnaps her. As she's taken away, again, we're back in the midst of this battle, and there's this Star Trooper who runs up to Finn, and he's got this weird looking, like, saber type. It's got like a knife at the end of it, but he can use it to like shoot. And he's whipping around. It's the coolest damn thing he'd ever seen. I want one of them in real life. Kind of really cool. And he just stares and looks at Finn and goes, "Traitor," which is why a lot of people have named him that, because that's all he says is traitor. And Finn uses the lightsaber, and they have this really cool battle where Finn eventually wins. But then the stormtroopers, they come and they have Han and Chewie and Finn, they have them all, contained. And then all of a sudden, here comes the rebellion, blasting their way through everything. They finally win the battle there. They overrun the stormtroopers. Stormtroopers leave. Kylo Ren leaves. They're all gone. And then here comes Leia. And then Han just looks straight away and says, "I found our son. I saw him. He was here." And then they're all set. So Kylo's got Rey in this contraption. It's kind of holding her, and he's trying to force the information out of her. He's trying to figure out, where it's going to be. And as he's trying to force her, she's resisting. And he's never had this happen before. Never had it happen before whatsoever. And all of a sudden he tries to be human with her and takes off his mask. It's the dumbest reveal ever. Because he takes off this mask, which is making him the most menacing person, and it makes him look dangerous. And then he's got this weird, like, surfer dude hair. He's all clean cut. He looks like a child. He looks like this 16-year-old kid. You're supposed to be menacing. You're the bad guy. I don't care what you look. Look menacing. Anyway, it doesn't work. The compassion doesn't work. She doesn't care, so he tries to force it out of her, and it doesn't work. He doesn't get it. She's stronger than he is. He runs off like a petulant little child. Runs away. So then she's just sitting there, basically, held captive. There's a stormtrooper behind her, and then she realizes something, that she somehow has ways of the Force. So she, force mind melds with him after a couple of seconds, and she just is let go. He lets her go, and then just drops the gun and disappears. And as Kylo Ren goes back over to see her, he realizes that she's gone. And again, like a petulant child, he just pulls out his lightsaber and just starts blasting things for whatever reason, like some child. Like, Vader never did that. What made Vader so cool is that he just held out his hand and just choked somebody to death. That was cool. That was badass. You just pulling out your lightsaber and just slashing things. You're just throwing a temper tantrum just like my son does. He's 6 months old and he has more maturity than you do. What is up with that? I don't get it. But in the midst of all this, the Resistance has come up with this plan to basically go into the planet, shut off all their security, and then they're going to attack the planet from the inside again. It's exactly like the Death Star. Exactly like the Death Star. They actually said that. Like, what? It's basically a Death Star. No, it's not the Death Star because this thing is a planet that's 4 times bigger. It's the same freaking thing. You still go on the inside and you blast it from the inside and it's gone. That's it. It's the same goddamn thing. Anyway, so they come up with this plan to destroy it, and Han and Finn and Chewie all go down to the planet to disable their alarm systems and to find Rey. Long story short, they do that. They disable all of it. All the fighters, they go after the planet. They start firing at it. An awesome battle ensues where they're just trying to attack and destroy the planet. While they're doing all that, Han and Chewie are all trying to set detonators. First off, they find Rey. Rey's just running around. She's taking care of herself. She's beating the crap out of everybody. Like, she's just hiding, you know. She's doing what she does, you know. She doesn't need their help again. It's because she's that powerful apparently. Finn and Rey, they run off, they try and get back to safety while Han and Chewie are trying to set these detonators. For whatever reason, Rey and Finn, they come back. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but they just start running back. Then as they're setting everything, Han sees Kylo and he's walking across this massive bridge. So Han comes up behind him from a distance and just yells out his son's name, Ben. Apparently his name is Ben Solo, which I know J.J. Abrams already said before that he wasn't going to do what the comics did, because I believe like his son's name was Jason back then. But Ben, really? You knew Ben Kenobi all of 5 minutes and you named him after a Jedi? So Han basically tries to reason with him, tries to make him, you know, come back to the good side. Kylo's like, I need your help. I'm completely torn. I need you to help me. And he holds out the lightsaber. Han grabs it. Kylo doesn't let go and then turns it on and then stabs his dad and kills him. Han Solo dies. Spoiler alert, Han Solo dies. So it's breaking everybody's heart, but he dies. And then Chewie gets all sorts of pissed off, which is just amazing, and blasts Kylo in the side and just starts killing stormtroopers everywhere, sets off the detonators, and that leads all the fighters to go into the inside and blow up the planet. As they're doing that, as they're blowing up the planet, Finn and Rey have this battle with Kylo Ren where Kylo knocks out Finn, basically, and then Rey has to pick up the lightsaber and defend them. And somehow, some way, Rey is this all-godly Jedi master with a friggin' lightsaber. I don't know how she does it, but she somehow beats Kylo, who's been training forever, yet she's never trained. But slices into his face, so now in the next movie he's gonna have just like a scar right there. And the world just kind of splits apart from them and separating them. And then all of a sudden Chewie picks up Finn and Rey and they go back. Kylo has to go back. He has to go back to Snow to complete his training, basically. So then at the end of the movie, we find R2 basically just wakes up from this coma because somehow robots can get really sad. They said that he had a low battery after Luke left, so he's just a depressed droid and just shut himself off for years. For whatever reason, he wakes up and then goes to Rey. She's so happy. he's so happy to see her, and then all of a sudden he's got the other part of the map, so they put the map together, they find out where Luke is, and then Rey goes to find Luke. She goes to this other planet and climbs this massive like mountain, and then there he is just standing, you know, back turned to her, and then she just holds out the lightsaber, and he turns around and just stares at her, and he looks like Obi-Wan. But he's just staring at her, and she's just holding out this lightsaber. And that's the end. Like, what? Either have him in there or don't have him in there. Like, maybe in the first part of the second movie, you know, you go there, you see him, and then the second movie begins. But why are we just ending with her holding out a lightsaber, him just staring at her like, what the fuck are you doing? And then we just have this blowout of the island where it's like they're just panning around the entire island. What is that? How do you end a movie like that? It would have been hilarious if he just said the heck with it and just force pushed her off the mountain. At least then it would have been hilarious. But you just end it like that. It's just a weird way to end the movie. I don't really understand why they did that. So what's my overall thoughts on this? My overall thoughts are it's a good movie. It is. And there's a lot of homages to the past, to 4, 5, and 6, which is fantastic. That's what it needs to be. But it was overhyped. And I mean, of course it's gonna be overhyped. It's Star Wars. You're gonna think that it's just the greatest thing because 4, 5, and 6 were so epic back in the day, and there's such a cult movement towards it, including myself. I love Star Wars. Am I going to be excited to see the second one? Absolutely, because there's so many more questions right now than there are answers, and there's gotta be some sort of payoff. Everybody who's watching the movie that I've been talking to has been saying there's got to be some sort of payoff. There's got to be some sort of answers to all the questions that we have. I would hold off on saying that this movie is completely terrible because it's really not, but it's just leading to more questions right now than we have answers. Do I love the movie? No. Do I hate the movie? No. I like it. It's a good movie. It's got a lot of good action sequences. There's just a lot of weird moments in it where there doesn't really need to be weird moments. It needs to be a little bit more serious than it actually is. That's what would have made it better. I have no problem with the casting with the exception of Kylo Ren. Adam Driver, I'm sure you're a good person, you're a great human being, that could be fantastic. But whatever they did to you to make you that innocent looking little child, it didn't do you justice at all. You were fantastic with the mask on. When the mask came off, you stopped being menacing at all. You just look like a child to us. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So I'm excited to see the second one. I hope you guys, aren't upset that I've spoiled most of the movie. Believe me, I left out a lot of things about it, like Captain Phasma, General Hux. Left a lot of parts of that out. I did that on purpose so that you guys would actually see something. Be like, hey, he didn't notice, he didn't mention this. It's kind of cool. That's my review. Yeah, I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys actually like Star Wars and you go and see the second one, the third one, and whatever spin-off they're gonna do. Side note, I've heard they're gonna do a standalone for Yoda. If that actually happens, I will jump for joy. That looks like that will just be the craziest thing and the best thing ever. Other than that, that's all I have for now. I will see you guys all on Friday when I have another rant for you guys. Other than that, everybody have a good holiday. Hope you guys had a good Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. Bye.